said, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to marry. So I was going to use my 20s to live like a vagabond. God forgive me. Anyway, you are forgiving me. So I was going to use my 20s to do anyhow. And then when I was about 28, 29, I would find the person that I wanted to settle down with. And at 30, I would marry. I would use 2 years to enjoy with my wife. Then I'll have children, and then we keep it moving. But God had other plans. Anyway, so I realized, I was 30, I was 31, I was 32, and I was still just living really crazy, really reckless. And so I started thinking, okay, this is not the plan. I said I was going to do this by 30, and now I'm 32, 33. It's time to, to fix up. And so at the time, I found somebody that I really got along with very well. We worked well together. We'd had like a casual relationship for a while, and I said, okay, this is the person. I'm going to just make this work, And so I was taking steps, and for the first time, I actually took this person and introduced them to my family, introduced them to my parents, like, oh, this is the person I'm dating, and and so on and so forth. And I just, for a few months, I just didn't really have peace. And we spoke during this series that God confirms His word, through His wisdom, and through His peace. Now, the first thing was I just didn't have peace. And then, over the course of a few months, I had 3 dreams specifically about this situation. And God told me in no unclear terms that if I went ahead with my plan, that not only would it bring disaster on myself, even the person that I was dragging with me, it wasn't going to work out for them. And, after I had the 3rd dream, I knew very clearly what God was saying to me. So I said, okay, let me go to a spiritual leader and say, hey, this is what I think God is saying. And I went to this spiritual leader who I trust. And I said, I had these dreams and this is what God is saying. Do you know what the spiritual leader said to me? They said, actually, God told me months ago that this is not the person for you. But I know you are stubborn. So I went to God and said, please, your son, go and tell him yourself. Because if I go and tell Banky this, he will marry the girl next week just to prove a point that nobody can tell him what to do. So at this point, I knew what God was saying. So I kind of ended that relationship. And, for the next year or 2, I was just focusing on work, focusing on trying to be a better person, focusing on just trying to develop and fix my life. And I started going to church very regularly. I started going to TPH. Shout out to people that are here from the Dome. And, so I'm hearing PT preach, and it's building my faith. And, I'm just trying to be a better person, a better child of God. And I had directed a TV commercial for a company, and they were doing a launch event at Oriental Hotel. And I was doing an interview on the red carpet. And I just, I'm talking into the camera like this. And then I just saw the most beautiful sight I'd ever seen in my life. Just walking by me. When you're talking and you're just like, men, I mean the men in the house, you know what I'm saying, when you see the work of God. So here's the interesting thing. In my mind, that was the first time that I had ever seen Adesua. But the truth of the matter is, I had actually crossed paths with her every year for the last 3 or 4 years, and I didn't even recognize. Sometimes you are praying for something, but God won't give you the answer because you are not ready to handle it. So I had actually crossed paths. She had even interviewed me on camera, and I didn't even nothing. But this very day, that's why you need to stay in a place of faith. Go to church, listen to the word of God. So this day I'm talking, and she come to the Waterbrook. If you don't have anywhere to go, we'll take you here. So she walks by me, and I see her, and I said, oh wow, who is this? And then I saw the person that was working with her. This one is giving me the eye. Am I okay? Okay. So I saw the person that was working with her, who I had known from times past, and I said, hey, Isioma, who's this, who's this beautiful specimen, And Isioma said, oh, her name is Adesua. He told me she moved back from Jan. She's an actor. So I got her name, and as a sharp guy, I went straight to Google. First Googled her, read every interview, read all the things. Okay, who is she? What's she about? Now, I had never seen her act in a movie. I'd never seen any of her films at the time. But I could tell from her interviews just the kind of person that she was. Not only was she beautiful, she was intelligent, she was smart, she was grounded, she was balanced. I mean, look at the work of God. And so I knew that I was interested. In fact, I actually called my best friend, Tunde, and I said, hey, I found my next girlfriend. You know, as a man of faith, you have to speak things into existence. So the next thing I did was I went to her Instagram and I just started scrolling. And I was, you know, when you're doing the Instagram research, don't act like I'm the only one that has ever done this. So I'm scrolling, back. You can't even check the ones now after they are packaged and said, you have to go back to the beginning. So I scrolled all the way back and I saw a post where she was sitting with like 3 friends and they were sitting on the floor singing worship songs. And it was so refreshing to me to find somebody in entertainment who was proud of their faith and proud of their relationship with God, that they're just sitting here singing and praising God right there on their Instagram. I said, okay, maybe we have something here. So I slid into her DM, as we do. And this morning when I was preparing, I actually scrolled back like, how many years now of DMs? Yes. And I found the DM that I sent and I said, hi. So we haven't officially been introduced, but I saw you at the launch the other day and I've decided that I'm going to be your biggest fan. I'm Banky. Can we please be friends? Appreciate me. When you shoot your shot, you have to do it with strategy. And then Adesua said this. LOL, hi Banky, I'm Adesua. This is both sweet and funny. It has always been a dream of mine to have a superstar as my biggest fan. LOL, friends, why not? I can do friendship. Gentlemen in the audience, take wisdom from what I'm saying. He who has ears to hear. God bless you. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but she was kind of coming out of a relationship. You know, when you're in that place where you are single, but you're in a relationship, but you are single, but you're in a relationship, and today you are broken up, tomorrow you are fighting. She was in this gray area space. And one thing, if you know Adesua, you know that she loves hard. So if Adesua loves you, you can kiss somebody, she will still love you. Like, that's just the way she is. And I found out, and that's one of my favorite things about Adesua, is as beautiful as she is in the face, her heart is even more beautiful than that. So I deduced, as we started talking, that she was still kind of one leg in, one leg out, trying to figure out what was happening with this relationship. But my approach, I said, can we be friends? I didn't say that you want, just friends, friend zone. I willingly put myself in the friend zone. But the interesting thing is that, when God starts to work, right? So we became friends, and then we quickly became the best of friends. We would talk every day for hours, like just talking. Now, we're not dating, because we were both semi-public faces. We can't even go out to a lot of places together so that, the Insta blogs and Linda Ikeji's of the world don't pieces your matter before you have even figured it out. So we couldn't even go out that much. So we would just spend every day talking. And we became close and tight and closer and tighter. And I got to know her. She got to know me. We would talk about our lives, our dreams, our families, our backgrounds. She quickly became the most important person that I needed to speak to. Like, I needed to speak to her like I needed air every day. If I didn't speak to her that day, it wasn't right. And I can actually confidently tell you that from that first day that she gave me her number in that DM till now, I've spoken to her every single day since that time. Now, this is happening. So we're becoming closer and tighter. And I'm like, how far with this old relationship? This is not, the destiny is standing in front of you. You are still saying that you are trying to turn a corner. Anyway. So I remember the first time I broached the conversation and I said, we're so close, we're so tight, why don't we just, make this thing official? And she said, I'm not quite ready and I'm still going through some things. And I said, okay, no problem. Friend zone is okay. Friend zone, no short you. I'm fine, don't worry. We're okay, I'll be here for you. And so we continued getting this process and I actually honestly think, well, I'll come back to that. So we're becoming closer and tighter and closer and tighter, right? And then in January 2016, I needed to shoot a video for a little song called Made For You. Anybody remember that song? Okay, so the interesting thing about that song is I actually wrote the song about a minute and a half into it, and then I couldn't finish the song prior to meeting this young woman. Because the song, I knew the song was very deep. So I had written the chorus and a little bit of the first verse, but then I just stopped that. The rest of the words would come to me. But it was while I was now becoming closer and tighter with this lady that the rest of the words of the song just started coming. So I knew when it was time to shoot the video that it has to be with this person that inspired the song, right? So I called her manager and I booked her officially to appear in my video shoot, as in I paid booking fee, fly from Lagos to New York City, like full-on official booking that you will not say that because you are my friend, I'm trying to take advantage of you. So I flew her into New York and we shot the Made For You video. And again, as a man of faith, anybody that remembers that video knows that in that video, the couple got engaged. Yeah? So she has not even agreed to date me. I'm already speaking it through my video that we are going to get engaged. And the greatest thing about, I'm going to have a moment of flesh here. The greatest thing about being the director of your own video is that when it's the kissing scene, you're the one that will say when to cut. So they say, record, I say, to the point say, Banky, it's okay now. I said, but I shot the Made For You video with her in New York. And I planned to speak to her at the end of the video shoot, but she was so tired that I was like, let me let her rest, because she literally had just arrived, I think that morning or the night before. So I said, I'll broach this relationship conversation later. So I remember I was driving a rental car from New York back to DC, and I was speaking with her on the phone because she was waiting for her flight. And I said, that's how far now? Well, now you can see that we work well together. We're friends. You talk to me every day. That, what's up? So she goes, ask me again. That I should ask her again. You can't tell a romantic man like me something like that. I should ask you again. I say, oh, okay, don't worry, I'm coming. Ladies and gentlemen, her birthday is February 22nd, next Saturday, actually. So I said, and I knew that in conversations with her, I knew that she'd always wanted to go to Zanzibar, Tanzania. Is that the right way? Thank you. So I said, okay, I'm going to plan this trip, and I'm going to take her to Zanzibar, and I'm going to, ask her in the most romantic way to be my girlfriend. So I called everybody around her. I told her manager, her sisters, that please, they should not book her for anything. They should keep her free. Tega is here. I'm sure Tega knows a lot of these details. Anyway, so after arranging this romantic, elaborate trip to Tanzania, Adesua gets booked for a movie shoot with the ex-boyfriend that I'm trying to steal her from. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not lying to you. So, this is time to fast and pray. You understand? So, so she's on set. And I just realized that on a day-to-day basis, something is not right in the atmosphere, something is wrong, But I'm like, I just need to hold on till we get to Tanzania. Just hold on till we get to Tanzania. No problem. We'll get there. Finally, when a few days to the trip, I now tell her that, hey, for your birthday, I want to take you to Zanzibar. And you should have seen the sheer panic that took over her face. Because now she was really confused. She was struggling. She didn't want to go. She was nervous. And I don't spend money. You know how it is. Now She said, my mom is coming into town. I can't go with my mother. I said, give me your mother's number. I will ask your mother myself. Don't worry. And I think it's important to say this. We had, in our conversations, we had decided that we were going to do things the God way, right? So when I spoke to her mom, I said, Ma, I'm not taking your daughter to Tanzania to have sex with her. I'm taking your daughter to Tanzania because I really care about her and I really want to be with her and I just want to get away, in a very respectful way so that the mom too will know that I'm not just, a useless guy. Even though I have been a useless guy at certain times in my life, but God had changed that. Amen. So her mom said, hey, well, what if she's not ready for this relationship? What if she's not there yet? Because her mom obviously had been speaking to her. And I said, in life, I can live with trying and failing, but I can't live with not trying. And as a man, all you can do is see a goal, set a goal, and just try to reach it. And if you don't reach it, no problem. You take it on the chin and keep it moving. But at least you know that you gave it everything that you had. And I think her mom just respected the African man in me. So she said, no problem. So she said, no problem, you guys can go. So I called her. I said, we're going to Tanzania. She said, okay. So now we get to Tanzania. The first day was a little rough with travel arrangements. You know how it is. So the second day was a bit better. We're in this nice villa that's overlooking the ocean. I had planned this breakfast on the sea with a small cabana and all of these things. Come on, as a bad man. So as a good man, you know what bad man means. Bad man in a good way. You know, come on guys. So we're sitting there and I had my little speech. I'm nervous and I said, you know, Susu, you know how I feel about you, and I just, I feel like it's time for us to make this thing official. We've been talking now for, it was like 6-9 months or something. And I said, will you please do me the honor of being my girlfriend? And Adeswa said, I'm still not ready. See, you people don't, it's men that will understand what I'm saying. Gentlemen, you have spent money. Listen, Pastor Bless, you have Zanzibar, 2 flights plus travel by road, cabana on the sea, and they say they are still not ready. This is somebody that you have been, that said, ask me again. No, let me just remind you. That thing hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, I was, you know when your head is like, that meme where smoke is coming out from your head. I'm sitting there on the seat. What? First, let me just, I'm going to tell you the truth. I said, okay, no problem. Thank you so much. We finished the breakfast. I took a 3.5-hour walk. I literally walked. There were 3 resorts. I walked the length and breadth of them, drinking alcohol every step of the way. You know when you're just listening to depressing songs, just writing terrible lyrics. I was really, I was completely heartbroken. Anyway, so Zanzibar comes to, the trip comes to an end. It was very awkward. It was difficult for both of us because we still had one more day. But we get back, and at this point, I just felt like, you know what? I've asked this girl 2 times. She doesn't want to do that. Maybe this is karma for all the girls' hearts that me have broken. So maybe this is God's way of punishing me in return, that let me kuku accept my punishment. But what I knew was that I couldn't, at the time, I just felt like I couldn't handle being her friend anymore. I couldn't have this day-to-day, you are my best friend conversation. Like, if you don't want to date me, kuku, let me go back and find who wants to date me. So I had a conversation with her when we got back to Lagos, and I said, hey, I can't really do this best friend, close friend thing anymore. I've tried twice and you're not ready, and I understand that and I respect it, but for my own sanity and for my own sake, I need to cut this off. So I did, and I said we were going to stop talking, and that was it. But that's why it's good to have a relationship with God. So, I'm now just going back out, looking for who to take out, and God just kept working on my heart. And he said, listen, all of your life, you've been searching for the kind of connection that you found with this girl. So don't throw it all away because she's just not ready. She's just not ready. Just don't lose a friend over the fact that you can't have the relationship that you want. So I called her back and I said, no. Oh, actually, no. Let me give you credits where credits is due. So my birthday came up. And obviously she was going through a lot because she felt like she had lost her best friend. So she did this. It was my 35th birthday. So she did this. Meanwhile, we'd not been speaking for a couple of weeks. She did this really sweet thing. She did like 35 things that I love about you. She got me a few different cakes. She said she couldn't afford to buy me a car, so she bought me a little model Ferrari sports car. Just things that would not be making you do anything. I said, what do you want from me, this woman? You don't. So, but then God started working on my heart, and that's really what inspired it. So I called her back. I said, you know what? We kuku said we were going to be friends. Let's just be friends again. Now, this second round of friendship, I didn't think that we could be closer than we were before, but we were even closer this time around. And it was the most difficult thing for me because by now, I knew for sure, for certain, that Adeswa was my destiny. I knew it. When people tell you that when you find the one, you'll know. this was that moment for me. I knew, I felt like God had told me. I had a peace about being with her. I just knew that she was the one for me. But she couldn't really see it. And I remember one day I knelt down and I prayed and I said, God, you know how much I love this woman. You know how much I want to be with her. I said, she can't see it. So as you have told me, tell her yourself. And that's why I tell single people, don't go and tell somebody, God said you should be my wife. Or God said you should be my husband. If anybody comes and tell you that, say, thank you. Let me go and we're all children of God. So if God spoke to you, then he can speak to your wife. So I told God, I said, for this thing to work, I said, first of all, I am never going to ask Adesua to date me again. Never. I'm her friend though, but you see this, will you be my lover? I'm never gonna ask you. I told God, I said, you have to, if you want us to be together, go and tell her. So I left it at that. Now we're tight, we're close, we're speaking every day. In fact, in hindsight, these were the best times because we spent so much time building a real friendship. And it's important that the person that you end up with is your best friend. It should be the person that you can tell anything. It should be the first person that you want to talk to about anything that's going on. So we're getting close and I said, Lord, I'm not going to tell her nothing. I said, we're just going to be in this friend zone. Then I got a call one day, shout out to Kemi Adetiba, and she said, hey, Mo Abudu is doing this film called The Wedding Party. I want to send you the script. Do you want to come and audition? And I said, yeah, because Kemi and I had been talking about going into movies all of our years and music videos. So I said, okay, I'll go and audition. So she gave me the script and I started preparing for my audition. And I get there and there were a lot of actors, a lot of people who obviously had a lot more experience than me. But I auditioned and they gave me a call back. They said, oh, we want you to come for a second call back. I now found out that they had also called her to audition. So we're both auditioning and we go through the rounds of auditions and then they now start pairing you. So they'll take you and pair you with 3 ladies, take each lady, pair them with 3 guys just to see who had the best chemistry. Now, of course, you want to talk about chemistry. I've been talking to this person for like a year, every single day. So the chemistry was, hello, ladies and gentlemen, it was off the charts. So they go through all the audition process and they say, everybody is really good, but there's something here, They now called me, they said, oh, who did you feel? I said, well, everybody was good, but I felt like there was something special with Adesua. They said, yes, everybody in the room was even saying that maybe you guys should even be dating or something. Like there was just something, you have to put things in the atmosphere. So they gave both of us the roles. Now, the way God will have it, we were now on the same movie set for like a month, staying in the same hotel. They said, oh, so sorry, you can come from home if you don't want to stay there. I said, don't worry, I will stay in the hotel. It's okay. They said, oh, you can bring your tie. I said, you are not understanding me. I'm okay. Leave me in the hotel. So while on the set of Wedding Party, we got even closer. The bond was even stronger. But remember, I had told God that I'm not going to ask again. And so I just remained there. And then shortly, maybe a couple months after we wrapped, one day, as is customary by now, we talk every day for hours. And one day, we're on the phone and she says, Banky, you know you're my husband, right? I said, sweetheart, I've known this for the longest time. I've just been waiting for you to catch up. I think that deserves another round of applause. That's the moment. That's the moment. So we said, okay, now pay attention to this. So we said, okay, fine. We now both know that we feel like we're each other's destinies. But remember what I said before. Sometimes we try to trust in our plans over God's purpose. And we'd both been through so many bad relationships and bad situations before that we said, when we're dating, single people, sometimes you see somebody, you like them, you start dating, then you now ask later that, God, is this the right person for me? Sometimes we even go as far as getting married before we start seeking God's face in our relationship. But God is interested even in your relationship. So we said, you know what, we've done this the wrong way for so long. Let's try and do it a different way now. So we said, instead of we both know we want to date, but instead of going into that immediately, let's seek God's face first. So we started praying about our relationship. So I would pray with her. I would pray by myself. She would pray by herself. She would pray with her mom and her pastor. I would pray with my mom and my pastor. We were just praying that God should confirm. And by God's grace, that confirmation came. Come on, give me a hallelujah. And then we decided that yes, we were going to go into this relationship thing. Now, the interesting thing is, by now we had spent so much time building such an incredible bond and such a strong friendship that it was like it was a blessing in disguise that she had told me no those few times. Because number one, it taught me humility. Because if I had just gotten it just like that, maybe I wouldn't have appreciated it. Do you understand? It taught me to humble myself. It taught me to chase. It taught me to desire. It built my faith in God. It built my relationship in God. It forced me to the place where I couldn't do it on my own. And I had to go and tell God that, okay, I want it, but I don't know how to do it. Please help me. And that's what this is all about. Now, we're now at the stage where we're talking about learning to listen. And I can tell you confidently that I heard God as regards this relationship. I'm not saying that we are perfect. As she told you before, and as I told you, we've both struggled, we've both been works in progress. There are things that God has to work. When we did our first marriage counseling, Pastor Nkoyo, Mrs. Nkoyo, the first day of marriage counseling, premarital counseling, she goes, oh, what do you want in a wife? And I said, I want her to be like this and that and, God-fearing and to be, They said, okay, what do you want in a husband? I said, oh, I want this and that. And then she said, okay, here's the thing. Neither of you, throw that out the door because neither of you are what you described. And marriage is the process of submitting to God. And nobody is perfect, but you can be perfect for each other if you involve God in the conversation. If you make him a part of that relationship and allow him to work on both of you, and then it's a step-by-step process. It's a journey. Till today, he's still working on me. Till today, he's still working on her. Till today, he's still working on our relationship. But here's the thing. We heard God. We listened to God. We heard with humility. We heard with obedience. And that's the point of today's message. Hear with humility and hear with obedience.